Welcome to our March market report. No doubt it's going to be a little bit different to the one we did at the end of February now that we are in the midst of the coronavirus crisis. Today's presentation takes place on Friday the 27th of March at about 2 p.m. and I say that because, as we know, things are changing daily and sometimes hourly. So what we're going to discuss today will obviously be relevant at the time of recording. Tomorrow, Monday, that could be quite different by the time this video goes to publication. So today we'll be talking about a couple of things, the impact of the coronavirus on the real estate industry and more specifically locally. We'll be talking to our property management department head Ruth Apple about the impacts on tenants and landlords, and we'll just be talking about how businesses are struggling at the moment, I think everywhere, not just in the Mitchell Shire. So we look forward to giving you some information around the local market and coronavirus, and we certainly hope it's going to be informative for you. Okay, so let's start with what we can and can't do as a real estate industry. So during the week, the government put a ban on public auctions. Now that hasn't been a big problem for our business. We didn't have any auctions booked or any auctions scheduled to be booked. Also a ban on open homes. Now this has been a big problem for our business because, as discussed in the last market report, a lot of our inquiry comes from open homes. So those open home inquiries have to now be funneled towards private inspections. Now with the private inspections, of course, we have to practice our social distancing, which is 1.5 metres from each person, good hygiene. We've got to ask a lot of screening questions around these buyers. Have you been overseas in the last 14 days? Have you got coronavirus symptoms? Have you been diagnosed or been around someone who has been diagnosed? So there's certain significant measures that are taking place around private inspections. People are being urged to stay at home, which is another problem, I suppose, with getting people through homes. Maybe real estate buying is not a priority to a lot of people, and I can't blame them in this current environment. Your health should be your number one priority. But we have put measures in place we'll be speaking about in a moment around getting people through homes and getting to look at those homes and maybe determining whether they do take the next step and have that private inspection. So we will be talking about that in a minute. But I suppose the government directives have to be followed. They're being done for a reason. We don't want public gatherings. We want that social distancing, and we certainly want to stem the spread of the coronavirus. So as an industry, I think we've welcomed these measures given the current climate, and we just ask that you bear with us and have a little bit of patience while we work through them. Okay, so just expanding on the hygiene message. All our staff have in one form or another got hand sanitizer, and like the general community, we are encouraged to keep our hands washed and sanitised at all times. I've just come from a buyer inspection where all of us wore latex gloves. It may sound a little bit over the top, but it just gives that extra protection in touching surfaces. So with Dettol or whatever brand of sanitizer we do beforehand, we have the gloves, and that allows everyone to open doors, have a look in things that they may normally look into without the worry of either catching anything from those surfaces, or certainly transmitting anything. So just a little bit of safety measures that, in all honesty, 2 weeks ago probably would have seemed over the top and a little bit strange, but now it's the new normal. So again, just practice those hygiene measures. We all know what they are. If we don't, there's certainly plenty of literature online about what measures we should be taking. And again, we've just got to be as careful as we can be. So, with the challenges we're facing with social distancing and those people being urged to stay at home, we put a lot of technology solutions in place. First of all, virtual tours. Our photography company does some great 360 virtual tours where they sit a little orb, I think it is. I've actually seen it happen, but it's a 360 view of that room. We place them around the home. They're linked to the floor plan, so you can click a button on the kitchen, for example, and that 360 view comes around. Now, they're great. Now, they're not going to buy a home on looking at these virtual tours, but it may help you make that decision. Is it on the short list? Isn't. 3 weeks ago, you might have gone and looked at 4 or 5 homes on a Saturday, got home that night, had some dinner and thought, you know what, we can cross 3 off the list and we'll just look at these 2 again, or get a little bit more serious about these 2. These virtual tours are just a way of hopefully helping you shortlist those homes that you may be interested in, and then if need be, we can organise those private inspections with all the hygiene measures in place. Another important thing, I think we've made 4, maybe 5 sales this week where all parties have signed the contracts digitally. We've got a digital signature solution where we email the contracts off to the buyers, they sign them digitally, they come back, the vendor signs them digitally. Now it's all legal, it's all perfectly above board, and it just makes it so much easier. So we're not having people coming into the office, that social interaction that may not necessarily be needed if we can have these digital signature solutions. Now, we've been using those for sales and property management for probably 6 to 9 months now, but they've become more prevalent given the coronavirus crisis that we're in. The other thing we do have, and again today, I had a scheduled meeting, 3 parties were supposed to come together and have a bit of a chat. We did it online. Same thing yesterday, I had an online meeting with myself and 2 other parties. Again today, an online meeting. So we get on a Zoom meeting and there's Skype and there's FaceTime, there's a number of different platforms. We use Zoom for no particular reason, but we've got the faces there, we can share some documents on the screen, and it's such a better way to have that conversation more or less face to face than we would in normal circumstances with that social distancing in place. So we've certainly gone and put some technology measures in place to make life easier in these sort of difficult times. Okay, so now we're joined by Ruth Appleton, who's our Head of Property Management Department, and we're a good 1.5 metre away, so we're doing our social distancing. So Ruth, very trying times for a property management department, I would have thought.
Certainly is. It's not something that we've had to face before. It's been very busy. It's keeping us on our toes. And
I think it's forced us to do things differently. We've got a number of the department working from home. We've got cloud-based systems. So they're still very productive though, if not maybe more productive in some cases.
Yeah, look, the girls are working really hard, making sure that the property, what maintenance we can organise is getting organised, that the properties that are vacant are getting leased. We've got, as you were saying before, online video link tours available for people so they can still view a property. Yeah. Everything else we do is electronic based, so it means that we can keep working and keep getting people in properties and keep managing our landlords' investments.
Yeah, so the offices are physically closed to the public. We've got 1 or 2 people working from each office just to coordinate handing out keys and things like that. But yeah, we are lucky in that we've got the bulk of the team are working from home remotely. We've got the Zoom meetings. I believe you had one this morning, so...
Yeah, look, working from home and when you're used to working part of a team can be really isolating. So to be able to talk all together and cover problems that we've been facing and just generally to catch up is really good for our work environment and good for our heads as well.
Good for morale. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And look, it's no secret the tenants are doing it tough. We've had a number of tenants call, and then the on-flow effect we deal with both sides is, I suppose, a lot of landlords are worried about these economic times as well.
Yeah, they certainly are, and unemployment affects all sides of the economy, and that covers tenants and it covers landlords, and it's certainly putting our compassion and negotiation skills to the test.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, I think tenants are coming in and they're not being demanding, and I think landlords are very understanding from what I've seen. So from both sides of the equation, I think it's been a very good balance on how it's been handled, the situation. Would that be fair, I suppose?
Yeah, no, very fair. Everybody's in this together, and it's quite clear whenever you talk to anybody on the phone, and everybody's in the same boat and they all know they're in the same boat.
Yeah, and the rent assistance package hasn't been announced yet, so what advice are we giving to tenants who are ringing up with that hardship?
So we're advising them to go on to Centrelink and onto MyGov, because there is money available now to help them. So just to get online to MyGov, register their intent to claim and go through the process. If they can get into a Centrelink office, well, that's good. And just to keep us in the loop. Communication means that we can keep the channels open between everybody and just keep working on it. That's all we can do.
I suppose not let it get too far down the track before we
right.
find out. Just keep the channels of communication open.
That's right.
Look, we're doing as best we can. We're trying to take each case by case scenario. And as I said, landlords have been very understanding. So from both sides, especially this first week, which I think has been very difficult in getting our heads around things. I mean, as I said at the start of the market report, it's sometimes an hour-by-hour proposition, certainly day by day, around what we're dealing with, I suppose. So,
yeah, it's very fair. Yep.
Excellent. Any final words before we wrap the property management up, I suppose?
Yeah, probably just to say that we're here, and if you need us, make contact with us, and if you're having trouble, communicate it, because if we don't know, we can't help you. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your time, and back to work.
Okay.
No worries. Well, thanks for joining us again. As I said at the start, not your normal market report full of good news and great sales and what's happening in the market, but more around how we're dealing with and we're helping our community deal with the coronavirus crisis, I suppose we'll call it. One last thing I would urge you to do is just support local businesses. There's a lot out there that are doing it tough, they're doing it differently, they're doing the best they can. We're still open, many aren't, so I'd really just urge you to shop local, support those local businesses. We're trying to support them, they're trying to support us. So let's just all get together in these difficult times and help out locally when we can. So next month, hopefully we'll have a more positive measure. We'll be talking about the coronavirus it was and how we got through it. But for the time being, everyone, please stay safe and take those measures that the government have urged us to take. Thank you.